Hi, Kara. Thank you so much for coming on Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs, lady.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, actually.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to geek out about AI stuff with you. But before we dive in, can you please just share with us who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kara. My business is the Kara Report, and we are a very small marketing agency that specializes in blogging and Pinterest management for fellow, mostly female founders and entrepreneurs, which is so fun. And basically, our vision or what we're trying to do is help women get their businesses found in a more sustainable way than, a lot of us are using social media for. So, yeah, I'm excited to chat about it today.
Oh, I love that. And when it comes to AI, I'm sure that
Yes.
this is playing a big part for you. So tell me, like, when it came to AI tools and getting started using them, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so actually it's been so interesting because I started using Jasper before ChatGPT was a thing.
Mhm.
And I feel like ChatGPT is coming up on its second year. So I was probably using Jasper for a year or two before. And so it's just been really interesting as AI becomes mainstream to watch things like I don't know, like, honestly, if I'm being honest, like, ethical concerns and things like that pop up when you're using it in a
Mhm.
vacuum, you don't really think about any of that. Like, I'm just like, "Oh, Jasper, I can enter my client's website and it just writes in it." So, that was the first experience for me, which for people that don't know, Jasper was also really expensive compared to the very, very affordable AI tools I feel like that we have now. And it was more templates. As Kinsey talks about on the show, it's like you can use ChatGPT and other more general AI tools for like literally anything.
Yes. And oh my gosh, yeah, I actually it's so funny that you bring that up because I remember someone telling me about Jasper. Yeah, 2 years I started using ChatGPT and getting all into that. And literally that's what stopped me from using it is because I was like, I can't pay for another
Yeah.
subscription. And then also it was like it was one of those things where I do feel like confident as a I like to write. I feel like I have that like quirky tone of voice sometimes that it's just fun for me to write. So I was like, "I don't need a copywriting tool. Why are you telling me this?"
Yeah.
And then I, of course, a few years later figured out, "Oh, ChatGPT can really help us to boost our productivity without sacrificing the authenticity or even taking the fun out of writing." Whereas, like, not only is my brand gonna be turned into this robot, but also am I gonna lose that creative spark? Am I gonna not be having, like, the joy in my day where I find it, like, those little pieces where I find joy in my work? And I found it to be the opposite. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely find that sometimes using AI makes me even more creative because it will say things like that I'm like, "Oh, I wouldn't have thought to say it like that," or even just
Mm.
then it will prompt me or show me, like, what it was thinking, and then I become more clear on, "Oh, no, I didn't want that. I want this," whereas maybe I wasn't clear before. So I agree with you. I feel like using AI and just experimenting with AI honestly does make you more creative. And I think it makes the writing better. I'm like you, I love to write too. But sometimes
Mhm.
it's like, I feel like as entrepreneurs, we always think about it like this, where we're like, oh, I like to write. But the truth is, I like to write when I have no pressure of deadline, when I can choose the topic,
Mhm.
when I can choose the word count or whatever, when I have nothing but time, when my wrists don't hurt from writing 10,000 words in a day. Do you know what I mean? It's I like
Mhm.
to write in these situations, and AI really comes in and helps on all the other time, right? So the reality is like we
Yep.
can't just wait for those like perfect times to create content for our business or our clients' business and things like that. So I could not relate to that
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's one of those things too where if you are writing, even if you're enjoying it, we all hit those frustrating writer's blocks where we can't figure out how to finish this thing or we can't think of that word or creative energy trying to think of a quirky, fun way to say this or like whatever. It's so fun to have that collaborative partner in AI that helps you along the way. And honestly, too, okay, so this is bringing me into something I've been thinking about a lot lately because literally Everyone experiences those AI scaries, the hesitations when they first start thinking about the tools. And the more I've come to mull things over and I've experimented with these tools, the more I realize that there's always the opposite side of the coin where, yes, this could be a bad thing, but yes, this could be a really good thing. And that also can be applied to, I think, what this means for the future of our culture and our society and our children, right? That's something that I've been thinking about a lot. As a 90s kid who we were right on that cusp of the internet becoming a thing. And now all of a sudden we have AI and stuff. And what is that going to mean for kids growing up? And I literally have found that, yes, AI expands my creativity, but also it gives us the opportunity to step into more of a leadership, critical thinking role. You were like, sometimes I will put a prompt into ChatGPT and it's confused, and I didn't realize it was
Mhm.
confusing. But then I take a look back, I'm like, oh no, I give it clarity, I go back and forth with it, and then it understands what I mean. That can be applied then to human relationships too. This is actually allowing us to step more into a leadership role where we're going to be able to give instruction and show leadership to our human team members as well, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, I love the way that you said that because I could not agree more. I feel like a lot of us, no matter what you do, but like we work in marketing, right? And it's usually the strategy part is interesting, coming up with ideas, even using ChatGPT to help with ideas is like exciting and fun, and trying new things is fun. But actually executing, it's not always the part that brings everyone joy, right? So if I can
Mm.
basically tell Chat what ideas are good and I want to explore more, what ideas I want to absolutely throw away, where I wanna take things, it's nice to have it then do the grunt of the work. I know you've talked about this
Mhm.
before about ChatGPT, like an intern. So I get to do the fun high level strategy part. It does the grunt of the work, and then I just get to like finesse it. It's like perfect.
So awesome. I know that feeling of excitement in my body and just,
Right.
yes. Oh, I was trying to remind myself of think about old Kinsey. How would old Kinsey be feeling right now before she used these tools? I'd be stressed out. I'd be banging my head against the keyboard. My husband would come home. I'd feel exhausted. Now my husband comes home. Oh great. I have to admit this to you. I've been quitting working at 4 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. these days to go downstairs and bead and watch YouTube videos. My husband would
Gosh.
come home and I'd be like, "Babe, I need 10 more minutes." I'm still in work mode. I'm stressed out. Now my husband comes home, I'm like beating on the couch, like, "Hey, babe, do you want dinner?" He's loving it. This is affecting my home life and my business life.
Yeah. That is, like, such a good point. Like, I just remember so many times that I would literally be, like, banging my head against the wall. It's like, "Why are the words not coming
Mhm,
to me?" And it's, yeah, the words aren't coming to you because you've
mhm.
been working 60 hours this week trying to get everything done. And now I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I just get to
Yes.
not have that."
Oh my gosh, and also too, exactly, oh man, I'm just, almost connecting the dots with the emotional load that
Mhm.
this might affect for us, and especially as women, we've had this conversation before where we put a lot on ourselves. We put a lot of expectations on ourselves. We feel a lot of secondary emotions where we feel guilty that we feel mad or whatever, and AI can actually subtly help us with a lot of those things too, which is really interesting. I'm gonna have to mull that over just a little bit
Yeah.
more, but let's go ahead and talk about some of the ways that you have been using AI in your business and with your clients and stuff. So, what are some of those actionable things in your everyday that you've been getting AI's help with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said at the beginning, I do blogging and Pinterest for people. So, I'm gonna walk you through the different places I use AI. First, I like to
Love it.
create quarterly plans based on keywords. And there's a lot of noise out there that's like PT can't help you with SEO keywords and that it does not vet those keywords, but it will give you a list, right? So oftentimes you're looking at an SEO tool, whatever you use, and you have to come up with that first word in order to do research, right? And is great at helping you think of different angles, different keywords that I probably wouldn't have found otherwise, and then I can vet them.
Mhm,
So you do have to vet them, but ChatGPT gets you a lot farther. Then when you're actually writing the content, depending on the content, but you can use Chat for a first draft. You can use it for an outline. You can use it for how do I blend these two sections together? How do I say this in a different way? When I think of how I structure my blog post, it's always introduction to the topic, introduction to my own business, because I always assume people are coming from Google or cold traffic, then the content, and then the
mhm.
conclusion. How many times can you really introduce yourself in your own business? right? Like it gets very monotonous, and Google doesn't necessarily love repetitive content. So it's like you could say, rewrite this paragraph that I just used on a blog 2 weeks ago or whatever it is. Or you can be like, reading my brand blueprint. Can you introduction to me? But then basically that's like how you can use it in the blogging process. And I love just, can you rewrite this part? Can you make this flow together? I know like sometimes there are ChatGPT quote unquote tells. So if every single heading is like 4 bullets and it's a bulleted word and a sentence after, and that's like the entire blog, it's going to look really robotic. But chat helps you edit, right? So like maybe the middle section, I'm like, can you rewrite these bullets as their own heading with a paragraph underneath, or just like things like that? And when you have the blog post, you're like, I wrote this is amazing. Put it through ChatGPT and be like, how could I make this even better? Can I, like, using the information in the blog post, can you add a frequently asked questions section to the end? Because Google is like looking for answers to those frequently asked questions. So that is a great thing to add to your blog if you're trying to get like SEO as part of your strategy, like things like that, and like then tweaking it. And then finally, I'm like, so much, then Pinterest, right? So I always think ChatGPT is the best at repurposing content, and specifically content that nobody reads, which is Pinterest titles and descriptions. Nobody ever reads them. Like, I don't know a
Yep.
single Pinterest user that's, I clicked on the pin, I read the description and was like, I'm not going to go to that link. It just does not really happen. So it's like Pinterest
Mhm.
is such a volume game. So after a blog post is done, it's okay. Can you come up with 10 titles that I can literally put on the pin? So let's say the graphic, you're making 10 different pins for it.
Mhm.
Each one can have different words instead of just you copying and pasting the blog title because you're short on time and this is the fastest way to do it, right? ChatGPT can give you a unique
Raising my hand.
pin, right? We're all guilty of this. And then, to take it further, you can say, can you pull out the best one-liners for this? Turn that into a carousel post. Can you rewrite this into an email promoting this blog post or podcast episode or whatever it is? I love, yeah, that's my very quick A to Z process.
Oh my gosh, so quick and so actionable. And I love that so much, Kara. So I also love how you were like using AI to help you along in your work. This is something that I feel like I shout from the rooftops every day. It is like people who think that they're going to go to AI and be like, write me a blog post. And then it writes them a blog post and they just copy paste that into their blog. It's
Be
like,
nice if that
no,
worked.
yeah. But it's also not rewrite this blog
Mhm.
post. It's like rewriting sections of the blog post, expanding. It's a collaborative process using your human expertise still. And that's where you will get the best results. And also, exactly, that's how you make the blog still feel strategic for you and your business. Google's like restrictions and things like that. Like, a little bit better than ChatGPT, let's be honest, because it is behind on strategies when it
Yeah.
comes to, and also like Instagram hashtags, for example, and
Use
stuff
of
like that.
emojis.
Right? But oh my gosh, I know that made me laugh so much. Did you see my story the other day that I shared that was like, guys, the new, what is it, Canvas
Yeah.
feature of ChatGPT has an add emojis button. Like,
No one needed that.
what? That added emojis. It got rid of, it did the thing that your grandma does when you're like, what in the world? And you had the sentence, what in the world? But when ChatGPT adds emojis, it changes, it gets rid of the word and adds a world emoji. Is no one can read that.
It's like features nobody wanted, nobody asked for.
It is really funny to me how out of touch some of these AI tools are and stuff. But that's why a lot of times people will use, and I have never used it, but there's similar tools out there that are powered by an AI, like, but they're like, we make it easier because we have the prompt templates. All you have to do is say, write me a caption, and then we have the caption template. It'll just spit out a caption. But I'm like, I don't like that because it's still generic and it's still not me. Like, I'd rather use just the AI tool myself and be able to control that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like those kind of tools that are like in the tools you're already using are like really great starter tools, right? If you're
Mhm.
nervous about getting into AI, but if you're listening to this podcast, it's like Kinsey makes it so easy. Just use ChatGPT, honestly. Like, it is where you want to get to eventually because it is very hard to get a custom answer from those tools. And even I would say, like, we can talk about this with Jasper. Jasper talked about clients' voice in like a client's voice or your voice or whatever based on your website URL, which I don't know what was going on in the back end. I'm assuming it like took a snippet of your copy, summarized it as AI does. But what's nice about ChatGPT and custom GPTs combined with Kinsey's brand blueprint, which I'm just going to plug here because I'm a fan, it's like I literally have custom GPTs for all of my clients. And it's not just how do they sound, like they frequently use an M dash and alliteration or like whatever kind of thing. It's okay, now you know
Yeah.
my clients' offers, freebies, what like who they're trying to help and stuff. Because again, I feel like this goes back to the first thing that I said, where it's like when we think of prompting ChatGPT or writing, it's like we think about it in like best scenarios. Like I sit down and ask ChatGPT, like these are the things that always kill me. Not that I don't see value in them, but it's who's actually doing this. Is it you'll be like, tell ChatGPT to ask me 20 questions before you like move on to the next prompt. And I think that's so valuable. But who is actually doing that in every chat window? Give me a break. Who has time to do that? So it's like, for me, I always think of prompting right for my ideal client who is brand designer or whatever it is. And it's like, that's all the information I'm realistically giving ChatGPT when I'm doing something quickly. So having these custom GPTs is you have everything. And like you have it where you can use it over and over again without the chat window getting slow or forgetting things or yeah.
Yes, exactly what you mean. Because that's the thing, right? All for people actually being productive with these
Mhm.
tools. It is so easy to start using these tools and go down rabbit holes, waste a bunch of time, or use them in ways that don't feel productive, where you end up feeling like, I could have just done this faster, right? Which when people are trying to get ChatGPT to write
Yeah.
something and they're like, be more formal, be more friendly, whatever it is. But also it's the training ChatGPT over and over. It's like when I am working in the middle of my day, I am in the flow. I'm just going. I just want to be able to hop over to my tool and be like, this is the client we're working with. Just find that chat or find that custom
Mhm.
GPT and hit the ground running, continuing instead of having to pause and then losing that energetic flow that I've been feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think like you had mentioned it at the beginning, it's like I literally have the ChatGPT window up the whole time that I'm working. It's like back and forth.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing this. Okay, so yes, as a brand blueprint
Yeah.
student who I love so much, and honestly, it just makes me so happy because I think I've shared this with you before, but like literally, I created my own brand blueprint. I'm like, oh man, I use this every freaking day. I know how easy this is making it. And then it makes me so happy when my students are like, yes, it's really great. It's so easy. So share with us how I know you said you've been like not only creating that brand blueprint, but you
Mhm.
created brand blueprints for your clients and then the custom GPTs. Like, what does that look like for you creating a brand blueprint with your clients? Did you collaborate with them or tell them anything about that? Or was it just the back end for you?
Yeah, so I would say it's all on the back end. So, like, when I worked through my own brand blueprint, I think it took about 4 hours, which is what you had said that it would
Mhm.
take. So, like, it wasn't a surprise, but what did
Mhm.
surprise me, I would say, is, like, how much I felt like I learned more about my business, and honestly, I feel like as you're doing it, like, you're like, "Yes, I knew I felt that way, but I feel so much more, like, confident with how ChatGPT is, like, spinning it out." It's, "Oh, yeah, it's really getting it," which makes me better at
Mhm.
explaining it. So that was just, like, such a fun process for myself, and, like, now I'm like, I literally gave it to my team. "Look at this. This is amazing. This is everything." And then for
Mhm.
clients, honestly, I would say, like, a brand blueprint light where I did a
Yeah.
super quick the brainstorm part and then just put it into ChatGPT. And to be fair, I don't know if the mission statement I have on their brand blueprint is the same mission statement they have behind the scenes, to use an
Mhm.
example. But, like, it doesn't really matter for the sake
Mhm.
of ChatGPT, like, what I'm creating, because I'm not asking it to spit out a mission that is gonna be, like, public on their website, right? It's like, I'm just, like,
Yeah.
generally telling them, like, I'm copy and pasting their sales pages for their services into ChatGPT so ChatGPT can understand it, and if it's not, maybe then, like, for how things fit in your offer suite, just as another little example. It might not be how my client thinks of it fitting in their offer suite, but the fact that ChatGPT has that perspective makes everything
Mhm.
smoother, and then I edit it and finesse it, and then let's be honest, anyone that does this work for clients, you send it to clients, and then they further finesse it, but just gets it that much closer, less work for everyone. So good.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. Thank you for sharing like about the process too and the insights that you found out because I had that same experience
Yeah.
when I was creating my blueprint.
So
I like
special.
felt like I was special. I felt like everything in my brand makes sense in that.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, it does all fit. Yes, this is who I am,
Yeah.
you know? And then getting those fun little insights about who I think that so guys, part of the brand blueprint, I think the third section with your brand voice and writing style, you go through your archetypes, like your brand. And I think mine was like rebel, one of them. It was like, of
Of
course,
course.
girl next door. And I think like the sage, the teacher or something. And then rebel. And it was like, I am a rebel. Hair
Like
flip. Like,
ChatGPT
do you
really
remember
gets
your
me.
arcs at
I
all?
remember. That's so funny though.
I am like obsessed with
Yeah.
personality. So if you can't tell, I loved it and stuff. But yeah, it's so interesting, like getting to know more about yourself. And like you said, then you almost can more confidently
Mm,
share your own message and then thinking about how that can apply to clients too.
is.
Because I work with some clients on content creation and repurposing one on one. And it is so nice for the tasks and like being
Mm,
able to understand who they are and really get into their heads and then
mm,
be able to use ChatGPT to then expand and all that different stuff. It's so nice how we can use these tools in a way where it's not write me a caption, in a way
I
where it's understand
mhm.
me and then help me create or repurpose.
And I would also say to anyone listening that's like on the fence about buying brand blueprint and like thinking of how they would use it for clients, I was like very precious with creating my own, right? Like I spent about 4 hours on it. For clients, I think it was like an hour. I'm like, good enough.
Yeah. And the results are so
So
much
much better.
better. Like, I share that in the course too. I'm like, okay, guys, like, as soon as you start, even with the brain dump exercise, like, you start using that, and that's already going to get you way better. With any little piece of information that you can share with ChatGPT about your brand and or your client, like, the more you can tell it about you, then it can just gain those insights into giving you that answer. And it still doesn't have to be 100%. Although I will say my brand blueprint lately has been like,
100%.
getting me.
Yeah.
I used to be like proud being like, guys, I've never copy pasted a caption straight from ChatGPT.
Like,
I have copy pasted a few captions now because still going through them of being like, I don't see any tweaks that I really feel need to make,
yeah. And I love
like,
the
but
permissions little. I'm not going to tweak something just to tweak something. And honestly, like I love the
yep.
file upload feature in ChatGPT. And I feel like I'm like uploading more and more things to it. Like I was talking about
Yeah.
Pinterest titles and descriptions, and I have like spreadsheets of keywords for all my clients. And it's just upload the keywords and be like, use these, create boards, create titles and descriptions, like use these keywords that I manually found. And yeah, it's just like
Yep.
aces.
Oh gosh, yeah. And I would like literally talking about the file upload because you can upload any file, which I have to keep reminding myself that too. Cause sometimes I'm like, wait, why am I copy pasting this? Like often I've been using screenshots
Me
so much
too.
lately on my computer. I don't want to explain this or type this out. I'm just gonna screenshot this and be like, this is what we're working with ChatGPT. Work.
Yes. Oh my God, I love screenshots. Yes. So many good uses for the screenshot thing. And one of the things, not necessarily file upload, but for anyone listening that hasn't done that, is what I love about ChatGPT is like the input doesn't have to be perfect. Like I'm copying transcripts that have like
Mhm.
spelling errors and whatever, and like it figures it out. Like it's so like brain dumpy and like it gets it.
It gets it. Yes. I know. I think that I'm so glad you brought that up because I think that's one of the reasons that people sometimes
Mhm.
hesitate to ChatGPT and or to do anything like training ChatGPT because they're like, I need it just feels so much to have to write 2 paragraphs about your brand that are like professional and in
Yes.
complete senses and stuff. And I'm like, guys, no, just brain dump. Like it doesn't even matter what you tell it. Anything you tell it is gonna
Yeah.
work well and get you to give you better answers. So I'm glad you said that too. I think that
Yeah.
we can't let that be like stopping us from using it in this way?
Fully.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, 2 questions in a custom GPT. And like, how are you using those? I know you said that you have different GPTs for each of your clients and stuff. What have you found using them? Or do you have
Yeah.
any tips for using
Honestly,
them?
I feel like most of the time, so like I literally just like whatever prompt you have, I wouldn't even know it because it was like I copy and pasted it right from the cord and uploaded the
Uh-huh.
GPT. And like I know sometimes you'll have different GPTs for like email writing, caption writing. I don't have any of that. I just have
Mhm.
one per client.
Yeah.
And usually GPT will just reference the information. if it spits out something that I'm like, where did this even come from? It's, can you reference the brand blueprint attached in your GPT? And then it's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh wait, I have all this info.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I know what you mean, where you're like, no, I think that's good
Yeah.
to share the
Mm.
first time. And literally, instead of getting frustrated, all you have to do is remind it or be a little bit more clear with your
Yeah.
instructions. But yeah, I'm glad that you said that too. Cause I think I interviewed a woman recently who was sharing how I have my GPTs for my different, tasks in my business, which I totally get if that's the way you work,
I think it's so
but
cool, especially if
I
you're
don't
using
work
it for
that
yourself.
way.
But like for me, with all my clients, like I would have 100 GPTs. I'm not saying there's not
Yeah,
value.
no,
It's
no,
just like
no.
I could not do that.
And also too, so I've been mulling this over a lot lately since she told me
Mhm.
she was using it like that. And I'm like, to me, in my brain, it makes sense to have the persona trained and then the tasks that I want it to do. If it's like specific repeatable tasks, sure, like I could maybe create different GPTs for all that different stuff. But like the tasks I want it to do make more sense for me to do it within a chat window in a way instead of having it trained on that or something. I don't know. I'm still playing
Yeah.
around with this.
And it obviously depends on the kind of content you create. But when I was talking about my workflow, about starting with a first draft of a blog post, taking it through to Pinterest and an email and pulling out the one-liners to use whatever, it's like I do that all in the same chat, right? So it all has that reference. And
Mhm.
I can't imagine switching chats. I can appreciate the value because then you don't have to remind it. Pinterest titles don't need emojis for whatever. But yeah, for me,
Yeah.
that's what makes sense.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, that is perfect because that brings me back to the question that I didn't want to let you go before I asked, which is like back when we were talking about Pinterest
Yeah.
titles and stuff. But I know that's where I sometimes get hung up with Pinterest, where it's like, there's a difference between the pin title
On the
on
graphic.
the pin graphic, and the pin graphic text is almost what you need to be, like, more relatable and versus, like, the pin title maybe is a little bit more SEO based or, like, keywords and stuff.
Exactly.
But do you have any tweaks or, like, words that you use when prompting ChatGPT to do the pin graphic titles and stuff? Like, because that's where I struggle
Oh,
for whatever
yeah.
reason. I'm like, what is gonna capture people's attention and make them click through to and then express that to ChatGPT? You know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
totally. And sometimes, so like one, I'll always ask for like short clickbaity titles. And like usually I'll have to give it a
Uh-huh.
keyword. And then sometimes I'll be like, can you come up with titles without colons? And come up with
Uh-huh.
different angles and a negative angle and like things like that on this topic. So yeah, just like it sounds like it's a lot of work, but it takes 3 seconds and ChatGPT gives you 20 options. You choose 5 and you're good.
Yeah, and if it is like a repeatable task, you can just once you tweak the prompts, try a few different things, and then once you find that prompt, that's what
Yeah.
I love about ChatGPT too. I'm like, sometimes like tweaking prompts is fun for me because I'm like, what prompt can I then just be my go-to prompt for this? But
Yeah.
I love what you said about can you please write different perspectives, positive and negative. You could even have a list of different like key points that
That
you
you
want
want
to
to hit.
hit based on clickbaity titles or love it. I'm
Yes.
gonna play around with that for sure. Kara, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today before I let you go?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. I think that's probably everything that I use ChatGPT for. Just yeah, repurposing
Mhm.
everything, first drafts of everything, the little worker bee behind whatever I want to do.
Yes, I love it. Okay, thank you so much. I've gotten so much out of this conversation. Could you share with everyone how they can connect with you and find out more about you want
Yeah,
to?
of course. So I'm Kara, the Kara Report and thekarareport.com. Super easy. I also have my podcast named The Kara Report. I'm going to probably change one of them eventually, but that's where we're at right now. And yeah, business and marketing all the time, mostly focused on Pinterest and blogging, but deeper than that, like sustainable, long term search driven strategies. I'm very pro AI over here. So thank you for having me on.